We are 1 week out from HCS Worlds in Seattle and announcements for the next big thing for Halo. I'm massively excited for this, least of all because I'm actually going to be there in attendance live in Seattle. But today, given we are only 7 days out from that announcement, in fact it'd be roughly, at the time of this video going live, roughly about now that we'll be finding out. I will be passing my predictions today ahead of time. Some conservative, some a little out there, but hear me out because my reasoning might just win you over. Hey everyone, welcome back to Installation 00, and I will be in Seattle at HCS Worlds next week. I will be in attendance the entire weekend, so if you're there, I stick out in a crowd, I'm tall enough, you will notice me. Run up, introduce yourselves. I would love to meet as many of you as humanly possible. It's going to be an insane weekend. On top of that, I'm also there in a semi-professional capacity. On the Saturday at 2:30 PM, I will be in the community corner, where I will be showcasing the real Mjolnir helmet for all of you guys to see, to talk about, to interact with, as part of a massive activation with tons of different content creators from across the community, bringing their own unique brands and flavour to the Halo Worlds experience. I'm really excited to be back in Seattle. The last time I went was in 2023, and it was already at that point like the Halo event of the year. Unfortunately, I missed last year's and had massive FOMO, so I watched the entire weekend on stream over on Twitch. So if you are unable to attend, bear in mind that both the competitive side and the community side of things will be being streamed on Twitch. And if you're specifically looking for stuff that I'll be doing at Worlds, then I will also be documenting it, vlogging it, and uploading videos onto my YouTube channel, showing off what's going on. This year looks like it's just so much bigger and so much more going on than any previous year. And it kind of makes sense because they're sunsetting Halo Infinite for the pro side of the community, which does factor into some of my predictions. So now we've got all of that out of the way, let's actually get on to the predictions. I have some notes, so forgive me if I continually reference down to them, but at this point it's all but confirmed that at HCS Worlds we will get announced something along the lines of a Halo CE Remake. It's been teased and rumoured around the community for long enough now, it's pretty much a foregone conclusion. It's highly likely to be an expansive remake, adding back in cut content from the development cycle of Halo CE way back in the day, and stepping around some of the limitations that the hardware and the software had back then, and introducing things that they would have loved to have done, but just it wasn't able to be supported at that time. As well as perhaps expanding the story beyond just the Chief's story and what's happening on Halo at that time. Now what form that will take is pretty much anybody's guess, but again, if I had to guess, I'd say it's likely the story's going to expand a little bit to include things like Alpha Base. Alpha Base was showcased in Halo the Flood. Chief visited Alpha Base on a couple of occasions through the campaign, through the battle of the first Halo, and there are some very interesting stories being told there. I think it's possible, maybe even likely, that we might get other perspectives of things going on. Perhaps maybe Johnson's escape from the Flood research facility and exactly what went down there. We might even get to play as Johnson. I mean, that'd be incredible in and of itself. And we might also get other perspectives, maybe involving the ODSTs. I mean, there's a great story with the ODST Lieutenant Melissa McKay and her and Jenkins' sacrifice to prevent the Flood from leaving the first Halo, as well as maybe ODST missions with Fireteam Raven, or maybe just other ODSTs that were on the Halo at that time but we just didn't see in the first campaign. And in a similar spirit to Halo 2, where there was kind of a split campaign between the UNSC side of things and the Covenant side of things, I think it's possible we might get some Covenant perspectives. I think it would be awesome to see Zuka Zamami, the Spec Ops elite who was tasked with hunting the Master Chief throughout the Halo campaign, to see his perspective, his missions, and how close he got to the Chief on several occasions, ultimately confronting him on the elevator as the autumn was going critical. It would also be absolutely awesome, because it was happening at the same time, to see Artas Vadum, Halfjaw, and his mission aboard the Infinite Succor, the agricultural vessel of the Covenant that got infected by the Flood, and all of the livestock that was on board that vessel in their biosphere, so to speak, on board, became infected, we would have flood-infected animals, and some of them are huge. They're like thorn beasts and all sorts of cool stuff. That would be phenomenal. And there's also likely perhaps to be new terminals and other little dribs and drabs of lore threaded throughout the campaign that we all get to discover anew, so that it's providing something fresh for returning players, but also a recognisable story and narrative for the sakes of maintaining continuity across the story. You've got to bear in mind there's not just heavy suggestion, it's almost confirmed that this will be released on the PlayStation, bringing in millions of new fans to the Halo community. That's only a good thing. But for the PlayStation players, they're coming to Halo for the first time. It makes sense to tell a very similar story to the ones we were raised on, but still giving something new, something more diverse, bringing it into the newer era. I've actually got a CE chief hanging here. Bringing it into the newer era and keeping the current fans happy, as well as introducing new fans to the franchise. But I think it will go a little bit beyond that. I think there will also be perhaps a nod, maybe not explicitly stated, but a nod to the idea that maybe the entire first trilogy will be getting the remake treatment. So we will be getting a Halo CE remake, but maybe a nod to a Halo 2 remake and a Halo 3 remake. Why do I think this? Well, PlayStation is the obvious starting answer. PlayStation players are coming into the Halo franchise for the first time ever. It makes sense to introduce them to the story with the Halo CE remake, but it also makes sense then to lead the story on, to continue that narrative. So telling the Halo 2 story and the Halo 3 story in a remake fashion just makes sense. It means that we get the entire first trilogy remastered, remade with expansive new content, maybe stories being told in between. Perhaps we get the story of effectively First Strike, the end of Halo CE, through to the start of Halo 2 being told in its own DLC perhaps. And maybe things going on between Halo 2 and Halo 3 being retold. They might even fold Halo 2 and Halo 3 ODST in together, because they're all happening at the same time as well. And it would give the fans what we've been asking for a very, very long time. A Halo 3 anniversary. This would tick all of the boxes for all of the community, both current and new coming in from the PlayStation platform. Now that might be out there a little bit, but you can kind of see my reasoning. I'm sure you agree. Moving away from the campaign side of things, because I do think that Halo CE Remake will be just the campaign, there will be no multiplayer involved with it. Moving away from that and over to the multiplayer, bear in mind they're sunsetting Halo Infinite for HCS this year. That means that if there's no multiplayer announcements this year, that means that no multiplayer will be happening next year for HCS. There will be either no HCS, no competitive side of Halo, no esports event next year, which I can't see happening because it is extremely profitable for them, as demonstrated by how big this event is becoming, or they'll do something different, maybe just celebrating Halo in general on the competitive side of things and just making it more of a kind of a competitive for all multiplayers across Halo. I don't exactly know how they'd make that work, but what I do think makes more sense is announcing a multiplayer. But further than that still, I have a sneaking suspicion, it may be proven right, may be proven wrong, but I have a sneaking suspicion there may even be a playable demo of that multiplayer available at the event that will then be rolled out thereafter as kind of a pre-beta or an alpha build to playtest for the wider community. Now, why do I say that? Well, in 2023 and 24, they showcased new content coming to Halo Infinite's multiplayer, and the community absolutely loved it. They lapped it up. It makes sense to continue in that vein, but if there's not really much in the way of new content coming to Halo Infinite, particularly given we've just had a big content update for Halo Infinite, and it seems unusually generous, perhaps being the last content update for Halo Infinite, it makes sense to have something else on offer beyond Halo Infinite. But there's more to it than that. Now, last year, the announcement of the Halo Studios rebranding and Halo moving over to the Unreal Engine happened on the Sunday. So why is the new announcement of what's coming to Halo happening on Friday this year? Now, it could just be that they want the hype on the Friday to sustain across the entire weekend, so it becomes a whole weekend of awesome celebration. That makes a lot of sense, but you also can't blame me for connecting those dots and coming to the conclusion that perhaps they're going to announce, showcase and allow for playtesting of the new multiplayer. Maybe not the full thing, but maybe a couple of levels, 2, 3 levels maybe, and work with the new multiplayer engine and see how people interact and enjoy this new multiplayer experience that's been divorced, separated from the campaign experience. It's possible. And it may seem like really long odds. Like, okay, Halo CE Remake, there's been evidence of that for a long time. A multiplayer? Perhaps, but a playable multiplayer? Kind of doubt it. You say that, but if it's going to be built on the Unreal Engine, which it seems like that's the direction that Halo Studios are going with Halo now, although it is a hybrid engine, I will add. It's the Unreal Engine with the Havoc engine, which I believe is the physics aspect, the physics engine of the original Blam engine kind of bolted onto it. You can actually bolt Havoc onto Unreal, so it will still play and feel like Halo, but it will have that graphical gloss and beauty of the Unreal Engine. Now, if that is the direction they're going, there is very clear evidence that Unreal has been on the table for discussion for Halo since Halo 5 Guardian's development cycle. Now I get you're not just going to take my word on that, so where's the evidence? Dan Chosic, which I hope I pronounced correctly, is a filmmaker who made a ton of really cool content for Halo Infinite, and on his site, on his website, there are Vidocs, documentaries that he has published on there that show clear evidence that the Unreal Engine was being considered for Halo 5 during their development cycle, so as far back as like 2014, 2015 time. So if in one capacity or another it's been on the table since say 2015, that means Unreal has been at least considered for Halo for the past 10 years. And even if only active work happened after Halo Infinite launch, that still means that's been nearly 4 years of development time. A lot can happen in 4 years. Being on the Unreal Engine means that it's an industry standard piece of software. It's an industry standard game engine. Everyone who's a game designer knows how to use it, and use it well. Having Unreal now as the core of Halo's experience means that it sidesteps all of the major issues and teething problems they had with bringing staff on and having to learn a bespoke custom engine from the ground up, and just as they're getting to grips with it, their contract comes to an end and they're kicked out of the door, meaning that the next people come in have to try to pick up half-finished work from the previous people while simultaneously learning this bespoke engine. Massive problems. Moved over to the Unreal Engine, industry standard, everyone knows how to use it, anyone who comes in immediately gets to grips with the engine, can immediately develop content. And you've got to bear in mind, Halo Studios has access to every single piece of content for the entire Halo franchise going all the way back to Halo CE. We're talking maps, weapons, character models, set pieces, vehicles, crates, cones, lights, everything that has ever been put into any Halo game, they have access to. And it's just a case of increasing the graphical fidelity, the complexity of the models, the number of polygons, importing it into the Unreal Engine, and they can start building stuff almost as easily as forgers can start building stuff. So I think it's possible that we'll see a showcase, a nod to a multiplayer, and maybe even, if we're lucky, a demo, a playtest demo available at the event to play over the weekend that may be rolled out thereafter for the wider community. We will see. And finally, and pretty simply, I think we'll get at least a teaser towards Halo 7, the continuation of the story. I have no idea what form that will take, I have no idea what direction that will go in, but bear in mind that the recent lore drops for Halo have been involving like ancient humanity in Tulpamancy, the Flood with this Halloween's content drops. It seems like they're setting up the story to bring the Flood back into the fray and go in a more quintessentially Halo direction, because without the Flood, Halo's not really Halo. Let's be honest. And broadly, that's what I think, that's my predictions for what we're going to be shown at this announcement. Broadly, I think the future for Halo right now is looking brighter than it has in a very, very long time, and there is a lot of hype out there in the community. I'm seeing so much positive things happening across the community. In either case, there's a lot that's on the table, there's a lot that seems to be changing, there's a lot to be excited and optimistic about right now. Let me know if you agree. If you don't, pop them in the comments down below. And until next time. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, be sure to tap that like button. If you want to see more videos like this, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Pop a comment down below on things you'd like me to cover in the future, or any thoughts on today's video. I'll just quickly take this opportunity to thank my patrons and YouTube supporters: Falcon X003, the Singular, Contender Class Ancilla, Laser and Spartan 0137, two of the triumvirate of minds within the metarch of my installation. My installation's monitors: Shane, Orion, Spartan 1029, 121 Esoteric Sight, Ashley and Sylphia. The creche of sub-monitors: Legion, Ryan, Labrat, Element Zero, J3, Mr. Keys, Gunslinger Cult, Evermore's, Personal Devil, Scion Esports, Phantasma and Tony. My fleet of Strato Sentinels, my most loyal of Enforcers, and every single one of the awesome individuals helping to support the channel over on Patreon. It really does help and allows me to keep doing what I do, and I can't thank you all enough. Huge shout to my Tier 0 Transcendent YouTube members Balaz, Jimbo and Mori. Thank you for continuing to stand sentry over my installation from all threats metaphysical. And if you would like to help support the channel in a more visceral way, consider jumping aboard as a YouTube member or patron to earn tons of perks, merch and goodies along the way. Thank you again for watching, take it easy everyone, and find peace in the domain.